So on China, I mean, we clearly all these issues are important, but I continue to believe, and I think you probably both do, that the U.S.-China relationship is by far the most important factor for the future of the world. And this is, inherently unpredictable and unstable at the moment, and is because Trump is Trump, likely to continue to be. The phrase weaponized interdependence, popularized by Henry Farrell and Abe Newman, seems to be becoming really live with Trump 2.0's dealings with China. And is it given China's threats? Well, not threats. It's issuing of export bans without licenses on all rare earths, and the fact that it has a stranglehold on that. And then Trump's sort of equivalent threats on tariffs and higher access to high-end chips and AI processors, etc. Is it fair to say that, in fact, in this situation, China has more cards than the United States because it takes a long time to build rare earth processing facilities, and China has demonstrated quite a rapid ability to move up the AI and semiconductor curve. Is that a fair characterization?
I wouldn't entirely agree with that, no. So first, on the question of who holds more cards, if I wrote down on a piece of paper the things upon which we rely on China for, and then the things that China relies on us for, I'd probably just have a longer list numerically on the Chinese side. We have more of our supply chain tied into China than they do into the United States. But if you ask the question, can the United States hold the Chinese economy and Chinese technology at risk, just as China can hold U.S. technology and U.S. economy at risk? The answer is yes. There's kind of a mutually assured economic destruction dynamic here. So, their list may be longer, but our list is quite powerful on a number of different factors. Now, specific to your question on chips and rare earths, which are just two items among many that each side could put on the table, I see it a little bit the opposite, which is China is making progress in its domestic chip production capacity, but it is also facing enormous obstacles and is not able to produce at scale and is not able to produce the quality of chip that NVIDIA produces, not even close. And there are real hurdles to it being able to do so that are not just about setting up a processing facility, that are actually about making technological breakthroughs. Whereas with rare earths, the issue is not technological. It's, can we just put the financial and organizational muscle behind standing up that capacity? We have the know-how to be able to do it. Now we just have to do it. And here I will say that, we saw the vulnerability. We took some steps to try to accelerate an alternative supply chain to China on rare earths. I wish we could have done more. I think the Trump administration has taken some steps with this MP Materials deal, but they're kind of on a linear curve up this, and we need to go nonlinear now, particularly since China has fired this shot. And I think if we went nonlinear, if we really said this is an absolute crash, Operation Warp Speed thing we got to do, we could do it quite quickly, especially with the rest of the world also now deeply unsettled by the fact that China has not just applied this against the United States, they've applied it globally, meaning that everybody to a certain extent is being held hostage for this critical end.
Yeah, and so that opportunity to forge a common sort of stance with Europe, et cetera, though, is being completely sort of torpedoed by the fact that Trump has been demoralizing relations with allies.
Yeah, I mean, this is, something I've talked about before. When I was thinking about how we approach China strategy, a critical aspect of it was aligning with allies and partners to collectively de-risk from China. And this would be one of the areas to de-risk. Don't let them have a stranglehold over this critical input. I think what's happening now is you have Europe saying we need to de-risk from the United States, maybe also from China, but certainly from the US. And that makes it much more difficult to build that coalition that I think will be necessary going forward, not just on this issue, but on a range of issues where China represents a real strategic challenge and where the US and Europe working together could actually deal with that much more effectively than the U.S. trying to do it on our own. Unfortunately, we've kind of pushed the Europeans away. And I'll just make one more point here. I think the interesting thing about President Trump, as I perceive it, is that he doesn't see the U.S.-China relationship at all through the lens of geostrategy or geopolitics. He sees it purely in economic terms. And for that reason, he thinks China's a problem economically. Oh, and also Europe's a problem economically. So they're kind of two problems on essentially the same plane, and I need to deal with each of them. And I think that mindset, that kind of typology in the president's brain, is standing in the way of our ability to rally like-minded countries into a common strategy to deal with some of these real strategic issues with China, I think to our detriment.